What motivated you to organize this event today?
It struck me finally when people started dying, as they were doing in Libya, that the damage that the media was doing somebody needed to protest. They've been complicit in everything to do with President Obama's candidacy, everything to do with all of his policies, everything to do with the economy, everything to do with foreign policy. Arab Spring was brought to us by the media, and now on September 11th and 12th, when people started to die, I had just completely had enough. We talk about it all the time, spent a lot of time on Facebook talking about it, and it struck me that it was time to get off our chairs and go take a stand out in the streets. If we could all get off our butts and go out in support of Chick-fil-A for religious freedom, we could certainly get off our butts and go protest the damage that the media was doing to this country. And I had no intention of organizing anything at all. I looked around for a long time to find somebody who was, and it turned out nobody was. And it struck me that if nobody is, and I felt it needed to be done, well, that was going to be me. I was in a position where I had some time, and I just branched out, launched my endeavor, and some people were responsive and got this ball rolling. And 3 weeks later, here we are.
What's your concern about the way that the media reports both the election and the issues that are important to the administration?
I think they are completely agenda-driven. They have a specific agenda. They only report what supports that agenda. Anything that seems the slightest bit positive gets reported, and they completely ignore anything against the agenda. Specifically, we heard all these great things about Obamacare, for example. Now adults under the age of 26 could continue on their parents' health care. That's wonderful. Did we hear that it's the biggest tax increase in history? No. Did we hear that, in fact, health care prices would go up? No. The media chooses what it will inform the American people of only in support of an agenda. Arab Spring, did we hear about the rape of Lara Logan? No, we did not. We heard it was students spontaneously having a revolution in support of democracy, and why should Americans be against such a thing? We didn't hear anything about the Muslim Brotherhood. We didn't hear anything about the powers behind what actually happened. We didn't hear anything about that. All we heard was happy students spontaneously coordinating some kind of protest with the use of BlackBerries, and there would be peace, love, and harmony in the Middle East. I can tell you, as somebody who tried to put a protest together, there's no such thing as a spontaneous demonstration. It's completely the most ridiculous notion I could ever imagine. It doesn't happen. So my concern is that the media chooses an agenda, only shares what is in alignment with the agenda, chooses to not report what isn't. Remember how Chris Matthews said he would do whatever it took to help this president succeed. That's an outrageous statement for somebody in the media to say. And Candy Crowley, I think, was one of the most overt transgressors when she intervened on behalf of the president during a presidential debate with a lie to support the president in a lie. It's outrageous, and it serves all Americans so badly.
Do you feel that the administration is doing this by a policy of intimidating the media, intimidating the journalists themselves?
That's an excellent question. I know there are people who feel strongly about conspiracies, that there is some kind of conspiracy about it all. I have a hard time imagining things are that way, but I'm trying not to be too naive either. I know that intimidation does occur. I think it's more, though, that there's been so many generations of, quote, journalists come up through journalism school. There's so much of just a deep liberal core in a lot of people who are in the media that I really don't think they necessarily believe that there is another side. I try not to imagine it's all deliberate. But it's hard to imagine that it's not, that it's just a bunch of individuals acting on their own. I can't call it a conspiracy, but it's pretty monolithic. And how that happened, I don't really know. And it's, in fact, I would say the fact that it's so monolithic, that's the problem. And that they pretend to be unbiased, that's the problem. If they would just say, MSNBC or NBC brought to you by, we're all liberals here, that would be a little bit different. But when they pretend to be unbiased, that's where the problem comes in.